And at that time, I didn't ask beware of what, but he just said to me, when Sarah says something to you, you should make sure you tell me whatever she says. She's not as good as she seems. At that point, although, sometimes you want to doubt, but because you think he's a man of God, you believe him more than you'd believe even your own parents.
Yourself, probably.
Exactly. So what I did then, Sarah became very close to me. She would even come to my house, would spend time with my kids and everything. And then I remember very well the day Prophet Magaya left for Israel is the day Sarah called me and she said, people from the church call me Sis Chari. Sis Chari, I need to talk to you. I said, okay, it's fine. Where are you? I was in town. We met at a local restaurant. We had lunch. After that, that's when she said to me, because before I had asked her what sort of business she does, after noticing she always had money. And then she tells me she's in the chicken business. I said, oh, okay, fine. So on this particular day, she said, no, I lied to you. Remember when I told you I'm in the chicken business? I said, oh, so what do you do then? No, Sis Chari, I don't know if I should tell you. Please keep it a secret, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, it's fine, I'll keep it a secret. Although I knew I was going to report if need be. Yeah. So anyway, that's when she started saying, I was raped by Prophet Magaya. As she's talking, I'm thinking, no, this girl is nuts. She's, how can she be raped by Prophet Magaya? It's not possible. But anyway, I kept on listening to her. She actually had a breakdown. And we even had to go out from where we were because we were actually attracting attention. So when during the week Prophet was in Israel, I kept on communicating with Sarah every day, asking her even over the phone, also, you need to be calm and blah, 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 comforting her and stuff. Because Prophet Magaya told me to be very close to Sarah. When he came back, on the particular day he came back and came for service, I'm the one who even went to his office and I said, Prophet Magaya, I need to see you. Remember when you said I need to beware of people like Sarah, what? She came in to me and she said this, and I told him everything that Sarah had said. And then he laughed. He said, there is something wrong with that girl. I think she's still undergoing deliverance.
But you were also undergoing deliverance, but you're still in the ministry.
Yeah, so anyway, no, this girl needs to, so anytime is she still communicating with you? Oh yes. He's even said, okay, when you come like on Sunday, I'll send Admire Mango to come and collect your phone so that he can print all the chats that you are having with Sarah. I said, okay, no problem. And Sarah would communicate every single day. Sometimes even if she's quiet, I'm the one who would say, Sarah Kondeip, that's for her to start, and then Sarah would continue her stories. So Prophet Magaya would send Admire Mango, they would be collecting information from my phone. Up until a day Sarah just called me in the morning. She was so pissed off. She was shouting at the top of her voice, Sis Chari, I didn't know you could do that to me. You were telling Prophet Magaya everything that I told you. How could you do that? How could you betray me like that? I caught you. And I even replied, I said, no, you didn't catch me. I'm the one who caught you. You are delusional. There is nothing like that. You were lying all along. Then just Sarah cut the phone. From that time, I did not talk to Sarah up until recently. You will get to know recently why you were, So anyway, during this time, I'm thinking, Sarah is obviously delusional. And I stopped communicating. But now, I kept on seeing Sarah in church. She would even go into the guest house, and I'm now confused. What is happening? If she was really raped. So for me, I say, oh, okay, she was obviously lying, because you cannot keep on going back. Well, so I thought. So right after that, Sarah then, as I continued to see, I wasn't talking to her at this point. And then, about 3 months after I was handling, or was it 4 months, you will see maybe from the chats that I had with Prophet Magaya. Prophet Prophet Magaya, I remember on this particular day, I was in town with my daughter, and he sends me a message. Hi, this was now the first time for him to communicate directly to my phone and not send someone. He's now saying, hi, I was praying for you. Can you come to Prospect? Now the hotel was there. Can you come to Prospect? I need to see you. I was praying about your life. I got so excited. I even told my daughter, hey, Prospect Chichi Daddy. At that time, you were still Daddy, Prophet, whatever. Daddy needs to speak to you.
Are you actually asked to call him Daddy? I mean, who starts with this calling him Daddy name? How was that calling him Daddy?
I can't answer that, but okay, for me, I can't say we're good, but it's something that you just catch on as other people are doing it. It's just like the kneeling. When you come into church as well, you start kneeling, even though you can't maybe explain why you're kneeling before Prophet Magaya, like as a sign of respect. It's something that you just do when you're in the church. Anyway,
so you're asked to come to Prospect?
Yes, I'm so excited. I go to Prospect. Now, on this particular day, I remember I noticed, you know, when you talk to somebody every day, you know, like how their eyes move and everything, you think you know everything about them. On this particular day, Prophet was different, more friendlier towards me. And at that time, I didn't think much of it because I was still a spiritual daughter to him. And to me, you know, Charity, my problems are not you know, I can help you, I can change your life, you know, I'm thinking about this, blah, blah, blah. And oh, my heart is so beating, I'm so excited. He gave me $500 US.
On a
particular day.
Before or after you tell him about your problems?
No, after I told him about my problems. No, I'm still having problems with my husband, what. And he knew these things. And prior to that, he had actually been paying for my rentals. Because when my husband, it's a long story, but anyway, he had actually been assisting me with my rentals. And on the rental, it's not like he assisted me only. A lot of people in the church get assistance from him, whether rentals, whether it's fees. It's not something that you'd say, oh, where's this coming from?
Does this include men in the church, or it's a lot?
I think it's mostly women. Yeah, because even when we would go like to Prospect to collect the rentals or whatever at the end of the month, you'd notice in the guard room, 3/4 or 95% of the people in there, they are women. And sometimes, you know, when they're coming from seeing CCBU, who always gives out the rentals, it's like you've got an envelope. So, you know, you're putting, so I would know, okay, everybody's getting an envelope, of which mostly are women. So, but for me, it wasn't a thing, where's this coming from? Because it used to happen to a lot of people. Now, on this particular day, I got $500 US, of which it was an amount like he had never given me before. Oh, thank you so much, Prophet. May God bless you. May God increase you. All the praises and the shower I gave him. When I got home now, he sent me a message. I'm missing you. And I'm saying, I didn't respond then because I thought it was meant for someone else. It came to me, you know, by mistake. I didn't respond. The next thing he
So
calls
which year
me,
is this, by the way?
that's 2017.
Okay.
The next thing he calls me, ko indaba kusapindura message. Ndikati, and I'm saying, ndi Chari tikanzi ndikuzviziva, hanti ndiri kukufonera ndikuzviziva ndiwe. Ndikati ndangofunga kuti yarasika, Prophet. I addressed him as Prophet that time. Shikanza iwe itase munhu mukuru wadi kunditi daddy. And I'm like now stuck. I don't even know how to respond. You know, you are just in a state of confusion. Anyway, from that time, messages started coming in each and every day. He would ask whatever. And remember, okay, I didn't want to say this, but I think I need to say that so people can understand. I am still legally married, but I'm not together with my husband for a long time. I'm still using his surname. It's
separated.
Yeah, we separated. It's an arrangement that is there, that I'll keep the marriage, the name and everything. So he would always pray for me, like in church, and say, receive your marriage. So I remember then I would say, if he said something that I don't want to respond to, I would say, for example, like I would respond and say, there's so person, or send a photo of somebody in the church who's interested in me. Yeah, because there were people who would be interested in me, but because he would encourage in church during his teachings and say, if you're a true daughter or a son of mine, if you want to go into a relationship, you need to consult me. You just don't go into a relationship, because sometimes you end up with the wrong people. I need prophetically to see the sort of people that you want to go into a relationship, of which I thought, no, it was, it was okay, because I believed that, well, prophetically I can't see, but he can see into my future. So anyway, he started sending all these funny messages, and then I would send like a photo of somebody.
So what funny messages? Yeah, I think people deserve to know, if you are able to say, unless if you don't want to say, it's okay. But
no, I guess I can say, because
some of them, if it's crude, maybe you can, maybe kind of explain to us what sort of messages you started receiving, escalating from I miss you.
Okay. Messages like, I love you. And then I would say, I love you too, Prophet. Then you would say, no, not that kind of love. I really love you. And then I don't know how to respond. And then I would send like a picture of a guy, and then he would say, I told you, you are mine. And now I'm thinking, is he psycho? What is he talking about?
Wow.
I've even got messages, you'll see from my chats again, whereby he would say to me, I want to marry you. And I'm saying, this is the same man who has taught me to value myself as a woman, and yet he prays for me every time. Receive your messages, because if you see most people who go to PhD, they will tell you charity is always manifesting. And every time I manifest, I always talk about marriage. With the demon, whatever, speaking through me, and of which it's a concern that I continuously had, because I felt, no, I need to be married. I cannot live a life like this. So this is why even maybe I kept on going back. I always believed somehow that this is the place whereby I would get my marriage, and I would even see people in church getting married, single mothers and whatever you, and I kept on hoping, no, one day he will forget about these funny things that he's doing. I will make him forget about me. I will just show him that I'm not interested, and he will forget. So I kept on going to church. The messages kept on coming, they kept on coming. Until a day whereby I say to myself, I was sitting at, no, this can't go on. And on that day he made it worse, because as I was sitting in the church during time of offering, he normally goes outside. He texts me a message that I'm not able to preach because of your cleavage. And I'm saying,
wow,
no.
Where you... Cleavage.
Yeah, I don't think I dress funny. I always make sure I'm covered up. After all, I'm a grandmother, and I mean, I'm not at that age.
How old is Magaya? We're just going to talk about this stuff. How old is he?
35, 36.
Well,
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Somewhere there, yeah. So anyway, at this point, that's when I say to myself, no, I cannot continue to go through this. Because even in church, he would sometimes come and start preaching as he's standing like right next to my chair. I was a ministry worker. I would sit at the pastor's bay at the end row. Everybody, even if you see videos, you would see the position that I would sit, like there, and he would come, he would stand there, and he would start preaching. And I would end up not hearing anything he is saying.
So we want to just come to the message of cleavage.
Okay.
He comes out and then he texts you. Why do you keep your... First of all, is there a reason why you are on the phone during the service? And then second of all, how did you react to him sending you a cleavage text when you're in church?
Okay. As a ministry worker, sometimes like there's something going on at the IT is my department, was my department. So I always needed to have my phone. Maybe there's a verification that is needed on the testimony and Avieta or anything. So always I would even be holding my phone in my hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So how do you react when you are told that your cleavage?
Firstly, I looked at myself, realized I'm covered. Because in church, if you're a ministry worker, by the way, we are not encouraged to wear trousers. You're always in a skirt or in a ministry t-shirt or whatever, you know. And I said, how am I acting towards him that he keeps on abusing me in this way? This is the time now. Before, I don't know why I would keep on going back, but at this particular moment, I said, no, enough is enough. Now I'm the one who's going to burn in hell because I continue going to that church, and yet I know that this is the sort of man I'm dealing with. This just has to stop. The other reason why I kept on going there, we would go there with my whole family. So for me, all of a sudden, to start saying to my kids, I felt I've got grown-up kids. My last boy is 18. I needed to explain to them why I would stop going to church. At first, I would make excuses like every Sunday. I would either say I'm shooting at work or I'm sick. Up until my daughter was now concerned, and she was even saying to me, Mommy, do you realize that the devil is attacking you seriously? How can you be sick every Sunday? It's because I could
So your daughters didn't know what was going on?
No, they didn't.
Were you not concerned that maybe, were they not in contact with the prophet?
I would rather not speak about that. Yeah, my daughters need...
No, I'm just thinking that as a mother, this is happening to you, and your children are going to the same church. Are you not concerned? Why I'm asking, because when we hear the Nyari's story, where the Nyari's father and mother came out and said their daughter was going to church, and they didn't know what was happening to their child. So I'm just thinking that, could it have crossed your mind that because many girls are around him, they might be vulnerable? I'm asking about your thought process right now when this thing is happening.
I'm afraid I cannot answer that, because if I do answer that, I have to continue an area that I do not want to go in right now. Yes, I think I will leave that to the court. I'm obviously going to go into court. Some things I would rather than start talking about.
I respect that.
Thank you.
Please continue.
Right, so this is the moment whereby I said, no, enough is enough.
So this is the day of the cleavage text?
Yes. And then as soon as he came back into the church, people I think were surprised, because you don't stand up and walk out of the church when prophet is preaching or speaking, whatever.
You're one of the leaders.
Exactly. And I just put my phone in my bag, took my bag, and I walked out as he was preaching, because I realized now, no, this is just gone beyond, you know. Yeah, so I walked out. I remember I even went and I sat in my car up until the church was over, now waiting for my daughter. Yeah, so throughout that service, I was in church. I was in the car.
Now, when the texting started, the I miss you and all these things, how was your interaction with him when you came to church, when you saw him, whether it's in church or even Ubasa, because you were now working for the ministry, from the day you got that text, how did you interact with him?
Okay. I would make sure I was always in his presence with somebody. I then started going to report my duties in church with somebody.
And what is your relationship with Sarah at this time? Because remember, Sarah has told you these things. You have snitched on Sarah, if I could use that word. And when this started happening to you, did you even think of reaching out to Sarah and to begin to realize that maybe you made a mistake about Sarah's story? Okay.
I did think of reaching out to her, but I didn't have her contacts. I didn't even think about reaching her out to her on Facebook. Up until the time I noticed recently, when she started insulting Prophet Magaya on Facebook, that is when I decided now to...
You mean Sarah was insulting Prophet Magaya on Facebook?
Oh yes, actually her posts, or even when I would post something now, she would always respond. And sometimes it would get so bad, it was just me and Sarah talking, insulting Prophet Magaya, both of us.
Okay.
That is when I realized, so I had realized it already then, that Sarah was true after all,
Right, but you didn't manage to reach out to her. And then I want you to continue from, you walk out of church, and then what happens? Because I think the viewers want to know that from the time you are able to tolerate this to the day of the cleavage, and then what then happened?
Okay, after that, I think, okay, there's a part whereby I can say, okay, maybe I'll talk about it later. All right, let me talk about that later, about Sarah's part. Okay, so at that time now, I stopped going to church. But I also have things that I cannot talk about because they have to go to court.
Yes, of course.
Yes, I'll not dwell on those issues, but I actually kept on going to church after a month, after 2 months. There were certain things that I needed to do, or can I say maybe I also needed closure on some things.
Yeah, so I managed to go through your texts that you shared with me a lot regarding a lot of people, and I think we will choose to stay on the issue that, the center of the issue, the sexual assault that you allege that the prophet did. But please, so I realized that at some point you don't believe Sarah, but now you're bringing your story. Why should we believe you when you failed to believe Sarah, another woman who was calling out for help in your church?
Okay. On Sarah's case, I will take full responsibility. I know it was wrong not to have believed her, but it's just that when you are not in that church, you would not understand. You are like believing Prophet Magaya so much more than anyone. So for me, at any given time, I would have believed Prophet than Sarah. Now your reason for you to believe me, you've obviously gone through my text. That is reason enough for you to believe me. And I'm not just stopping here. I am going into the court of law to prove my case because I have all the evidence.
Fair enough, and I need you to understand that I believe you because every day I work with women who are abused and girls who are abused, and I understand the difficulty of gender-based violence, be it who abuse of. Oh my God, I'm a Christian, and I know the overemphasis and power that the prophets, all these prophets have, to the extent that even parents can choose to not believe their own child over the prophet. And this power of, I think we have also seen Gumbura, how he manipulated the whole church, sleeping with women and all these things. So I would never find, remember I came to you when we reached out to you and I told you I needed to hear your story and tell your story. It was before you even told me or gave me your text, so I didn't need your text to believe you. The text only helped me to understand the nature, how engrossed viewers. I have gone through texts and I've gone through messages that include Sarah that I would never want to be the one publishing them. It takes charity to do that and anybody else who's involved, but there's enough evidence to show a lot of things that have been happening, and I chose to come to speak to you because I have many questions as much as viewers have. For example, why did you keep going to this church where you're being abused? Because you obviously, these things are happening, you know there are other women who are going through this, and probably by that time, every time you're seeing you're going to collect an envelope for your rentals, maybe many, so probably at that point you're actually already knowing many of us. How do you explain your continuation in going to this church when this was happening?
Okay. I have, maybe three reasons. One, I needed closure. I needed an apology from Prophet Magaya. So I kept on pushing. Even if you saw from my text, I would push Overseer Mango to say, and these were exactly my words from my text: I am tired, I am fed up, I need closure, I need to understand why he decided to do that to me. Because I was so PhD, I would sleep, I would talk, I would eat PhD. It was like my whole life. And so having him do that to me, it was like it crushed me. Up until this point, even spiritually, it is just so difficult for me to believe that there's a real man of God anyway on this earth. And also the other reason was because of my children. I didn't know how to start explaining to my children who loved this man of God so much. I've got a son, and you know it's always difficult for a mother to talk to a son. This is why maybe first I spoke to my daughters, and then after my daughters, my son only found out recently when I went to court. This is when he found out, because I could not tell him. He's grown up. So for me to start explaining those issues to him, it was something that I felt I couldn't do. I wanted to protect him because my son is like a follower of PhD. He's always on his laptops following every preaching. For me just to say to him, stop, I couldn't.
Yeah, you were desperate for an apology to mend the relationship so that you can continue going to this church and to get past this probably mistake that you think it's a mistake.
No, at this particular point, it was not an apology for me to go back to church. Maybe I was kind of confused, but I don't think to go back to church, because I then realized at this point, it's when I said I cannot keep on going, because I realized I will not be praying to God. You know, it would be so wrong. Yeah, so it was just to give me that self-satisfaction. When a man kneels down and says, I am sorry for what I've done to you, I have ruined your life in so many ways, I am sorry, and maybe having him shed tears, maybe that I thought would give me like comfort, a peace of mind, maybe the closure to say, even if I see his face, I'm not insulted. To hear his preaching, it would, I think, for me, it meant I could then carry on and just say, oh, let me leave those who are going to PhD like that. I don't know if it's making sense.
I totally understand you, and I feel your pain. I feel your desperation for closure, and I feel your desperation to move on, to say, okay, I need to put closure. I need to deal with this so that I can move on. And probably what I'm hearing is so that your Christianity and your values, your Christian values are not tainted. I want to ask you a question that I've never asked you. Do you still believe that at that church, that is God manifest? Because you shared that you manifest a lot from the day that you got into that church to now, you have been manifesting. Do you feel like it's God that's working at that church, or to say from the point that he takes you on a cleavage while people are collecting, and then he comes back and he continues preaching? How do you process that?
That's a difficult one. I am kind of confused. I'm really confused. Sometimes I'm thinking to myself, he's a man of God, but has serious weaknesses that he really needs somebody to help him. Because also having been in church whereby I would vet testimonies, if somebody comes with a skin disease, onamatiwa, ndowona 2 weeks later, akudzoka, skin disease yapana, there's nothing, you cannot fake a skin disease. Pane pato nema pictures before and after. And then, yes, this is the same person. So, if Arisi Simba Ramari or Isimba Ramari, God is using him, but he has serious, and I mean serious weakness, a serious weakness.
So I want us to go back. Thank you for sharing your truth, because I believe your truth. I believe your truth. And I told you that the reason I'm doing this is because I want to believe you, and I believe you. And I also I think at this juncture, I just want to share and mention other victims that have come forward, and then sometimes they just disappear. There is Sarah, there's Alicia Mashasha. Enesia Mashusha, who did the interview at the Minds and his parents. Herself, she's gone through this. And she's one of the few bold, she's right now in the United Kingdom, she's one of the bold ones who have actually, and that's where we picked, because I think from the Mayanzanise, Enesia did that interview for the Mayanzanises, and then you came and Karikai did your interview. So for me, I'm just building on to what a process that's already going on. And then so there's Enesia Mashusha, and then there's Sarah Maruta. Sarah is the one who's refuted the allegation, but yesterday I got a contact of a video where she describes explicitly how Prophet went into a present naked. We also have the Minds and Chennai, and I want to focus to just explain some things which I mentioned earlier on about Chennai Minds and Chennai Minds and when her parents describe how she was abused. She also did her own video. I think it was less than 3 minutes. In that video, she says she refuses rape allegations. But what she does not refuse is the fact that there's a child. So there might be a child between her and the Prophet. What she also does not refuse is that there was a relationship. What is also clear from the messages that her parents and some of the messages that are out is that she was underage, she was below 18. So the reason why I personally took this is because there is a concern that there are sexual or inappropriate relationships in that church that are going with underage girls. So I think it gives an opportunity for authorities at this point to investigate that. So if somebody goes through Chennai's message, she does not refuse there's a child, maybe there's opportunity for a DNA test. She does not refuse there was an inappropriate relationship, but she refuses rape allegations. So I think that's enough ground for somebody who wants to do something to investigate. And then there is yourself, my sister, Chari Dlodlo. And then the first time I got interested in the story of Magaya, when they called Petronella 3 years ago, started recording herself. Paka herself recorded herself na Prophet Magaya Chitaura. When Paka Puamad actor 10,000 as a Christian, it really touched me because people go and desperately give their offerings out of desperation, and this money is being used to inappropriately for sex, to buy sex. I mean, if somebody is going to be paid 10,000 after having sex with the Prophet, so that money is being used for buying sex. That's my moral obligation as a Christian, why I'm doing this. But I want you, my sister, to take us back to, so there's been the cleavage, and then through our backstage conversations, there's more that happened. Maybe if you could walk us quickly through what then happened. So did you come back to church? Did you get into contact with the Prophet after that?
Right. I started pushing for Overseer Mango, saying I need an apology from the Prophet.
Right.
He organized a meeting whereby I thought, okay, he's now ready to apologize. I think at that time I had not gone to church, I think in 3 or 4 months. When I got to Prospect, I knelt down in his presence as usual, and then he told me to sit, and I did sit on the chair. And
so explain to us the kneeling down part. Why do people kneel down?
It's a sign of respect.
Are you told to kneel down?
No, you just kneel.
You're actually surrendering your power. I'm in your presence. Please go ahead.
So after sitting down, I started discussing with him, explaining to him that, listen, I'm angry because I had then already reported my two death threats. So I was explaining to him, because that's one of the first things he asked, why did I have to do, why did I have to do that?
What had happened? Sorry.
Okay.
Maybe bring us between you getting to see him and the death threats. What happened here?
Okay, death threats started coming in because I had started, as you saw from my messages, I was pushing, I was saying to Overseer Mango, if Prophet does not ask for an apology, I am tired of all this. I want to expose him. I'm going to go on Facebook. I'm just going to do whatever. I will keep on making noise until he apologizes to me. I need to see him and we talk and there's a closure to this whole story, because there was no closure, right? And then so on this particular day, that's when he says to me, why did you need to go to the police? You could have come and spoken to me.
I'm going to bring you back again.
Okay.
So you've been demanding for closure and apology. And then what happens? What happens that makes us want you to want to go to the police?
Because I realized, one, I was not going anywhere with this. He kept on sending Overseer Mango with messages. That part also, I don't want to get into it because I would end up skipping some things that are best left for the court. Yeah, can I explain? Yeah. Right.
Okay. You are not able to explain to us why you went to the police in the first place.
No, that is the death threat that I explained. Maybe I didn't get you.
Yeah, so I know the story. I'm wanting the viewers to know why so from cleavage to you going to church on and off, what brought us to want to go to the church, because that part hasn't been explained. I think to go to the police.
Okay. On my issue, there are two death threats. The first death threat, the docket actually went missing. And when I then realized that this docket is now missing, after continuously going to the police trying to push so that this case goes to court, when I realized that this docket was now missing, somebody advised me, no, I think you really need to push, keep on pushing.
Okay. So maybe to just kind of put the bridge, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
I do understand that from the time you were engaging with the Prophet, if that's correct, to the time you're now wanting to see, you are engaging with Overseer Mango, there is a death threat that comes. What is the purpose of the death threat, and who brings the death threat to you?
The death threat, the first one, I said I don't know who the death threat was from, but the person who came to my house said he was sent by Prophet Magaya. This is somebody I don't know. Everybody at church knows where I used to stay. So it wasn't like a shock, even somebody coming and saying they are sent by Prophet Magaya.
So they're sent by Prophet Magaya
to tell me if I don't stop making noise, they will silence me.
So by now you were making noise through what?
Through Overseer Mango.
Okay.
Saying I'm going to expose.
Okay.
I will not keep quiet. And then he actually, if you notice from the text, he even stopped responding at one time. When I kept on with those messages, he stopped. Obviously, he knew maybe I would end up printing and this would be evidence against him. So he even stopped. Up until the time for the death threats. The second death threat came. That's when now they even wanted to start speaking to me. And I said, no, I'm past that point. I now wanted justice. I said, I'm not speaking to any one of you guys again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's when you went to report to the police and the missing docket?
Yes, the first one up until now, that docket got missing. And then the second one now, it was changed. The whole docket was changed from the original kind of paper that was written. And I even raised that issue at the police station. I said to them, look, you want this docket to go to court, but it's not the same docket that I wrote. My signature is wrong. It's not even it. My phone number, you know when you write a docket, there's always your phone number and the signature. The signature wasn't mine. The phone number. And I said, how does this happen? The police officer could not even explain anything that I could hear. Until then, I also started making noise at the president's office. Oh. They are the ones who actually encouraged.
So which year is this now?
This is now 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, and before that, I had even, I'll show you the emails that I actually sent to Prophet TB Joshua explaining my case. He even called me, and he even called me, full stop.
Right.
Yeah.
So and then so you went to court, obviously.
Yes.
And you refused to talk to them. You went to court.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
I lost my case in court.
Why?
I did not have enough evidence. It was just my word against him. And also because it was my first time, I had never gone to court before. I didn't know all this process that before you go to court, you actually need to submit your evidence. I had not maybe done my proper research. I was actually excited about going to court. I even sent overseer a message saying, I'm so excited. I wish court could be nearer. You know how it is when you're confident and you know everything.
Why are you sending the overseers when they are the people that you know they work with the prophet?
I wanted them to tell him kuti vanyatsokwata vanyatsozoti ya now ndakuzovanyudza.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I can understand. And then what happens after that?
So in court now, this is where I lost my case.
The case, and did you continue talking to them? So because there is a part that then you get invited. Remember we to the part, then at what point did they agree now to see you? The prophet said, after the court, do you get into his presence or not?
No. From that time, no. Him calling me, we actually, in between the two death threats, that's when I saw Prophet Magaya.
Okay, so I want you to talk about your time because this is where something big happened.
Yeah.
That escalated because I think it's important because Yakabudam newspaper.
Yeah.
I think, so I want you to talk about that meeting.
Yeah. In his presence, I knelt and then he said to me, I can take a seat, of which I did. And then after discussing from the time the death threats, he kept on saying, no, I didn't send Jimmy, that's James Zamu, the guy. No, he just came because he felt, whatever he was explaining. I said, okay, but obviously I knew it was him. And then after discussion, I thought he said, okay, even if you don't want to come to church, I'm just going to pray for you so that God will bless you. Okay, I said, okay, no, I'm not in I wasn't about to start another fight, I said, okay, let me just allow him to pray for me and then I go. Instead of praying for me like this, Prophet Vakarebaka, and I'm kneeling down, I'm also tall. Instead of him laying his hands on me, he grabbed my breast and he kissed me.
Wow.
That's when Pandaka screamer, and then I walked out. Sorry, Zokati Taure. What? I just walked out. From that day, and did not Zokera in his presence again.
Oh, citizens, this is something that is very hectic. That a man of God in quotes is being alleged to have done to women, and I think the question becomes, how many more women are going through this? What's happening? I want to ask, has there ever been an exchange of money other than the envelope between you two?
Yes.
What was the money for?
I want to leave that to when I'm preparing. I'm now preparing for court.
Thank you, I understand that.
Yeah.
Would you, in general, think that of all these women who have come forward, have they been given money to either be quiet or to not proceed with their cases? And would you think that money could be one of the reasons why they don't continue with their cases?
I think yes, money could be a reason why they don't continue. I'm saying so, especially in the case of Chennai Mayanzanise, because the way she just, the way she just acted as if her mother is the one who is insane, I think, yeah, there was an exchange in money. And as for Sarah Maruta, I would want to say definitely, on that one definitely. Why I'm saying so? Because you realize from my messages with Sarah, she was the one who I introduced her to Garikai Mazara, that's true, but I never forced her. And even from messages that all of you can see, after this recording, some of them might even send them to you.
You also sent me the recorded voice messages, the conversation between you and Sarah, where she's actually heard in those voices celebrating. But she also says something in your text exchanges that you shared with me that well, I don't want to quote her because she's not here, and I haven't done forensic searches to say is it really her or not. But what would have been some of the reasons why you think Sarah would have suddenly stopped to cooperate? Because from what I saw, if it's her really, she was with you. Let's celebrate her. Let's move on. Let's report. Let's do this, that, and suddenly a halt. And I note the halt where Sarah stops, where the alleged Sarah in your phone and in your text, where she stops talking to you when the first meeting you have with Garikai, when you say, in fact, there's a message that you say, Sarah, because as we have agreed to go forward with the public, I am also going to see Garikai. I think you actually invite along, and then I note there is no response in that message, and then you go on to say, I don't know whether you had a phone call in between or not, and then you go on to say, I just went to see Garikai, my sister, it would be good for us to go. Sarah does not respond again, and then so I think there are further messages that Sarah does not respond to, and I think in that moment she's probably saying, I have not consented. Had you spoken to Sarah before you went public? Because I can say I've seen your messages when you guys are together, Mufamba agent together, and then suddenly when you escalate things to go public, Sarah makes a halt. Did you engage Sarah to say, let's go public? I am escalating this with Garikai. Did you do that to get her consent?
Yes, I did. Even before I left Malawi, you will see from my passport, the reason why I came back was because of this story. I would have been in Malawi right now. But as I was speaking to Sarah in Malawi, she's the one, I think you will see those on Messenger app, because those were not in my WhatsApp, on Messenger app, whereby Sarah was saying, yes, Ande, please, kumapurisa ndimirirei, tigwenda tese, I want to join you. Those were her exact words, not me. So I don't know now how she can say I
can understand. So remember when we were meeting for this meeting, there's a time I called you when we were at our spot, and for about 10 minutes you were not responding on your other phone, and I called you on the other phone, and then you picked. In that moment I thought you had also chickened out, and I could understand that. Why? Because the issue of reporting cases of abuse are not light. They are huge, and I can understand. I know a lot of people are judging Sarah right now, or whoever else is withdrawn. It's hard, and I think in many other instances, may not only Sarah but other people actually are beginning to think and certain even message Sarah no video I'm to tell so a lot of women, would you think it's actually it's a reason why women don't continue with cases, especially young women who are abused, the shame we are forgotten possible husbands? Do you think it could be one of the reasons?
Oh, I think it is one of the major reasons, because people tend to start looking at you with that eye yokuti wakambonzwai wakambodai na, especially a person akaita kunge Prophet Magaya. He's a person yokuti Jasiana looked at and down the street who nobody knows. But in this case, I think it's different. And for Sarah, I thought so too. Even you see from her messages, there's a lot then she started saying. Because for her, she also sent the message, Yekuti, I told Garikai to wait with this story. But Chakamu Boande Chekuti, Garikai akakasika ku release. After Sarah had even gone a day before, begging Garikai kuti imbomira, that one I think, I don't know. Well, she says kuti her boyfriend enge aramba.
I don't want to talk about people's boyfriends. Yeah, because fair enough, because she's seen. I mean, if you watch that video, she actually says it's just Dlodlo. But what about? And I think in another text, another straight text that I don't want to talk to, you actually ask someone who refuses to assist you in your story or to go to the police with you, where you say, but what about justice? And unfortunately, I think a lot of people, especially women, sometimes are not thinking that about justice. What justice? My justice is me being able to be married, my in-laws not having to see me as, oh, a prophet. But are we still as a society having to think and stigmatize women, or to actually empathize and sympathize with women and then to shame the abuser?
You know what actually is funny is most women are the people that actually I'm being fought more by women than men. They are the ones who are calling me a liar, a prostitute, I'm making everything up. It's women. Most men are actually coming to my inboxes, giving messages, strengthening me. But women, I don't really know, you know, what can be done. But they even start sympathizing with the perpetrator. Those are women for you.
Right. And I think as we're coming to the conclusion of this conversation, I have a few more questions for you. Where we say, I noted when I was watching the parents, the Nyari family, the mother and the father narrating their story, there was a desperation to go and see the prophet. And I see the same desperation to go and see Magaya, to say, we want to talk to him. And I think I can understand, because Muna told the power yako. So by so wanting to ask him, to face him, to say, why did you do what you did to me? It's probably wanting that closure and getting your power back. I totally can understand that, but what else would you tell to a girl who is probably watching you, a woman? Because I probably think that as identities, this is a call to say, if you want to come and tell your story, we are here for you. We're here to tell those stories, because we believe that when we tell stories, someone loses their power, because you were having death threats. We are hoping that authorities and whoever is responsible stops that. Whoever is using money to shut people up, I'm hoping integrity as Zimbabweans. And I think the reason why we're also doing this is that to take your courage, my sister, because this is courage, to take into your courage to also help other people and to shape the narrative, to say people need to talk about this, people need to own these stories, and to actually say, I'm not ashamed to tell that I am abused, because more than 33% of women in this country have been abused, and it's worse now that it is a disease in the church. So we are saying as identities, if you have gone through this, if you want to tell your story, we are here. As long as you also have corroborating or you know, supporting evidence or whatever, or even if your evidence, we're here to work with you. And we've also approached the Minister of Women Affairs, the minister herself, to say, I think these women need your help. So we're just not doing this. And whoever organizations want to work with the ladies that have come forward, we are happy to give you linkages with the ladies. So what do you wish as yourself to say, when we decided to go public? You made a decision to go public. What did you want to achieve?
I want this to come to an end. It has to be stopped.
What needs to end?
Has to be stopped. You know, I think the way he just abuses these young girls, the women, it has to come to a stop. I think enough is enough. We keep on hearing the same stories about the same person. It has to stop, because there is no smoke without fire. Yeah, it has to be stopped.
And to the women who are in the same church or in another church who are enduring this, what would be your message?
It's not easy for one to come forward. You obviously need people who will support you, people who will stand by you, and I think you just need to come forward, because if you don't come forward, if you keep quiet, he is going to carry on abusing young girls. So we really need to come forward.
And what would you like to say to authorities regarding the behavior of Magaya and the church at PhD?
The authorities authorities should make sure that people are safe, because one of the reasons why even it took me a very, very long time to come out is because I felt I cannot be safe. I felt there is no justice in the country, because from the time even evidence was, like dockets were missing. So I think they need to really investigate, to look into these issues, to say, is everybody just hating Prophet Magaya from Norway, or there is something happening? So they need to investigate. We need protection. This is our country. Right now, I'm staying outside the country. It's not because I want to, but it's because I feel I'm not safe here. That's why I decided.
Do you also feel safe in Malawi? Because they know. I saw in your text that the people you're talking to know where you are. Would you feel safer in Malawi than you are in Zimbabwe?
Right now, I'm not even feeling safe in Malawi anymore, because they know I'm there. I was feeling safe before, but not anymore, especially with this move that I've done. I'm now thinking, okay, which country? Do I stay here? If I do stay here, is there security enough for me and my family?
But now that you have spoken as well, do you feel a sense of security? Do you feel a sense of being relieved? How do you feel after the platform that the Zanu-PF gave you and what we are doing here? How do you feel?
Okay.
And what are some of your expectations moving forward?
Okay. I really feel relieved, because I think right now he would be very, I don't know what word is. I don't want to, you'd be very silly, can I say, to try anything.
Right.
Because I do have a death threat from him already. So if anything happens to me now, people will know it is him, So I'm kind of relieved also, because I had been bottling this up for a very long time, and it was eating at me slowly but surely. It made me lose my confidence. It really affected me, and is still affecting me in ways that I cannot even explain.
Well, citizens, I think we had what we had. I want you to know, my sister, that I believe you. I believe you. I believe your story. And there are many Zimbabwean and international people, women who believe you, who stand with you. And there are also many men who believe you, who stand with you. And know that you're not alone. I totally respect you and absolutely thank you and honor you, because you're not going to be popular in this country. I know a lot of Vanavana Papa, whether you die Papa, people believe in a man more than now they chase God. The fact that people go beyond reason to not give someone the benefit of the doubt just because I don't believe Vanavana Papa, people don't care anymore. So I think there are many actually who believe you, who are true Christians, who are not chasing miracles or prophets, but who are also chasing God. So the people who are truly seeking God who stop and say, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? Who care about this? So we believe you. We love you, everybody in this room, people from media, people here, they came because they believe you, because there's a lot of money that I would also say that I don't know whether it was somebody who was from Magaya's place or not. Yesterday I was approached to be paid. I will not say who did that, but I'm just saying there is a lot of money flaunting around. I'm saying because I need to also let the nation know that this is things that are happening. And so I wish that if I can't say this was directly to Magaya, maybe somebody was trying to trick me as well to say, oh, if Nyari agrees to settle, because Munaka need to settle. Settle what? No, the only settlement that I would say is Taure. So I just need the nation to stop blaming my victims and to actually begin to think kana mchina machechi koko since tisanyudze misoro mujecha titare chokwadi. So that is why. So my sister, thank you again. We salute you. You may not see. We hope the authorities will take steps into investigating the church, or maybe if Magaya needs to step aside of that church so that he can be investigated. We are hoping the authorities will do that. But what you can't do is to force this country's authorities to do that. This country's authorities will choose that, but you have done your part. It's their responsibility to dig into this matter. It's their responsibility to make sure that every claim, the moment somebody reports today, immediately they turn around. Why? And I think it's important for the nation to do that. We're hoping the Ministry of Women Affairs, the Gender Commission, the Republic Police, everybody, even the President's office, should investigate this case. Women matter. We are 52% of this country, and we hope that the government does that. But you have done your part. Your security should be assured by the authorities in this country. And we're hoping every person, every woman who comes forward to share their stories, they will not be intimidated to not speak. Nyari Mashayamombe, my sister, do you have anything else to say before we say goodbye to the viewers? That was us on Identities Conversations, viewers, and we were talking to Mrs. Chari Dlodlo, who has come forward to talk about the alleged sexual assault and abuse of women in the PhD ministries, and also the abuse of money in that ministry, sharing her story, being bold to share her story, and calling for help as well. So until next time, good one, goodbye.